The greatest power you possess is your ability to choose. Join Lowe's Moore as he reveals how you can begin to maximize that power by exploring yourself on the deepest levels and committing to making lasting and positive changes. Get ready to achieve breakthroughs that will lead to accelerated growth and transformation, because you are now tuned in to The Blueprint.
Why they actions contradict the lamb. I'm fellowshipping when I'm with the fam. That's more relations, that's foreign.
Good evening and welcome to The Blueprint with Lowe's Moore. Man, welcome back, man. This has been it's been a good week. I've enjoyed this week hanging out with the grandkids. A few times this week. Even though my daughter was on vacation from school, it was. I still get that itch, every now and then. The other day she made me some mac and cheese, and I knew she was making it. So she came over, she called me up and said, "Hey, man, hey, Dad, I got you some mac and cheese." I was like, "Oh, cool, man. I'm going to run over there." So I'm run over there. She said, "Oh, yeah, well, you don't have to come in. I was like, no, I'll come in. Because, I got to say hello to the grandkids, man. I can't just drive to the house and not go in and see the little ones, my buddy and my princess, So, again, welcome back, man. We're really excited, man. We just left high school basketball heaven, man, college basketball heaven, and now we're in the NBA playoffs. And then the WNBA just started. Well, they didn't start yet, but they had the draft. And now they're doing preseason games. And so I don't think basketball just doesn't end. I mean, AAU is starting, has started up already, and people are traveling. Man, isn't that a wonderful sign that we are kind of back? It's not quite normal yet, but we are doing some normal things. People are traveling again. People are going to events again. The numbers continue to stay low. I always say continue to make sure you stay safe. I mean, I'm trying to stay safe as possible, man. Be safe, man, and enjoy the weather out there. I mean, it got so nice this week, and I knew that it was going to be 70 on Friday. So I was like, man, I called up a friend of mine. We hadn't talked in a while. I was like, hey, man, what you doing? You want to play golf? And he was like, yeah. I was like, oh, tell me a day. And so Friday, he said, oh, Friday. And usually he schedules when we go to this particular golf course, he usually schedules it. And so I got all set. I was excited, man. I got up and drove over to the golf course over there in Pelham and got there. And I realized that he hadn't put in a tee time. So, man, everybody, if I thought it was going to be nice and 70 on Friday, everybody in the world thought it was going to be nice on 70, on Friday and 70 degrees. And so they booked, but we didn't book, So I'm there with my golf outfit on, and I told them, like, hey, man, there's no spots. And it was no spots anywhere in Westchester. And we was like, man, so we end up just out of the blue, get on our phones, Marshall golf course. It's a 9-hole golf course. He gets on, and there's a spot for 11 o'clock. Now it's like 9 o'clock, 9:30, and we take that spot, right? And we go over there to Marshall. We get there and realize that the golf instructor had just canceled. I mean, what are the odds? Just canceled his play with one of his players that he was going to give instructions to, and at the same time he canceled, we jumped in there and we got to play 9 holes, and it was perfect too. 9 holes was perfect because I was sore from the 9 holes. So I was like, what? So I woke up the next morning, man. I was like, what is going on? How many know that if you haven't played golf all year, right? You can't just get up and go play golf, man. You gotta go hit some balls first, get your body acclimated to the swing. What? Hey, I jumped out there and it was cool. But yesterday, man, I was literally hurting on yesterday. I was like, oh, every time I moved, I was feeling a pain. But but welcome back, man. This is awesome. Let me say this right now as I speak. One of Marvin's legends, Rudy Hackett, is being inducted into the Upstate New York Basketball Hall of Fame as I speak. Right? I spoke about that last week, and well deserved. I mean, so congratulations to Rudy Hackett, and I think Coach Beeline, who coached at West Virginia, coached at Michigan, now working for the Detroit Pistons, is also being inducted into the Upstate New York Basketball Hall of Fame as well. So congratulations to Coach Beeline as well. And so, hey, man, I'm going to jump right into this. Man, I know some of you love that the weather's changing. And then some of us are saying, who have allergies, saying like, if we can jump over those allergies, man, we'd be all right. But, hey, I say, look, spring is here. The weather's changing. Enjoy it, right? And enjoy this time. Enjoy this summer. It's going to be amazing. So let me jump right in here, man. I want to get right into my book of the week. And it is not book, but books of the week. And I'm only going to select two of these, right? And that's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, right? I love that book, Coach Wooden and Me. I mean, they had just a very powerful relationship, man. Many people don't know how intelligent, he was a scholar athlete, right? If we can go back there's one more book I want to point out by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and I think Brothers at Arms is a good book, right? Man, I love that. I love that book, and Kareem is a good book. But his surprise to me is I didn't know that he co-wrote many of these Sherlock Holmes books. I mean, it says Jabbar. I mean, about three or four of them he did, and just an amazing human being. That's the book of the week. I've always followed Coach John Wooden throughout my basketball career, and I also followed the relationship between Coach Wooden and all his players, and of course, Coach Wooden is just a legend. And then I have a word of the week, and legend. Right, when I was talking about Kareem, we're talking about a legend. I mean, my guest, my guest today is a legend, right? And I don't want, many of you may know, but I'm not going to just say it yet. But he's a legend, particularly in the city of Mount Vernon and abroad. So, and we'll save that for later. But man, you should ask yourself, not that people wake up and say, one day I'm going to be a legend, right? I think becoming a legend means that there's some work involved, there's some success involved, and there's some time you have to put in order to become a legend. You have to do something that people think an appreciation for. They have an appreciation for, and you do something that not anybody can wake up and just do, right? You have to do something special to become a legend, whether it's singing, dancing, playing sports, acting, inventions. But to become a legend, most of the time people are following their purpose. And when you follow your purpose, right, usually you are blessed, and then you're a blessing, and then people appreciate what you do. And they talk, and legend means that, long after you're gone, people will still remember that you had great success. So, or that you were a great person. So that's an amazing word. So here's my Pierce Harper affirmation quote moment. Right? It says, and I love this. One man can be crucial ingredient on a team, but one man cannot be a team. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said that, right? And because everybody said, oh, if he won. Think about legend. This is a legend. He won 3 straight college basketball NCAA championships, right? And for him to say that, right, shows you that, right, you can't win a game or a championship by yourself. You need other people to be a part of that as well. So, yeah, check that out. And for all the people out there who thinks they could do it by themselves, man, let me remind you, and not me, but what Kareem said, right? One man can be crucial to a team, right? But one man cannot be the team. So that's a very powerful affirmation quote right there. So, and then next, I got since we in line with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, right? I pulled up Kareem's favorite jazz albums, right? And one in particular is Miles Davis, man. What a great artist, man. Just an amazing artist. Back in the day, man, he's a legend, right? And man, you should take a look at those albums. I don't know if you're a jazz fan. I love a lot of different types of music. I like jazz too as well. Check that out. And then the movies. I got some, a few movies here. So if you see those movies, there's like 6 movies there. Bruce Lee's Game of Death. You got Airplane. You have Kobe Bryant's Muse. And then you have Be Water by Bruce Lee. Right there, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was in each and every one of those films. Right, so if you haven't had a chance, man, Kareem. I don't know if y'all knew that Kareem was a master of the martial arts, right? But yeah, Kareem was one of those one of those amazing guys, man. He liked to try different things. So check out those movies, and then let me do a quick shout out. Since we're talking about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, let's give a shout out. Happy birthday. I think Kareem is 75 years old, and man, so I was paying tribute to him, tonight, because he's just been so awesome, right? Just an amazing athlete and amazing human beings, and I appreciate that he fought for, particularly African American, at every level, right? And then he had a beautiful and wonderful relationship with Coach John Wooden, who he says and calls his second dad. So happy birthday, Kareem. Amazing. I got some other birthday shout outs. Yeah, I want to say to Miranda, happy heavenly birthday. Truly miss. Awesome baller. Right, I love when she played, man, because when she played, see that smile right there? She played with such joy and such passion, and she played hard all the time. Hey, and it's been a while, but hey, you are missed, right? And you will always be loved. And so, and then, yeah, my sister Tracy, she getting older. Yeah, she's still beautiful. And she's my sister, my baby sister, right? And I want to say happy birthday to my youngest sister, my sister Tracy. And then finally, I want to say heavenly birthday to my oldest sister, my sister Eveline. This was our last picture. We didn't have a whole lot of time together. Let me say this to you while we're looking at this picture, right? And I'll say this to you in terms of family, right? We always say, oh, we're going to get together. Yeah, let's go do this. We're going to get together. Yeah, we've been trying to get together. No, get together, right? Because my sister, I wanted her to come up. We were trying to catch up for many years that we were away from each other. And, I wanted to go visit her and she wasn't there. She wanted to come here. She canceled a few times. And before I knew it, right after that birthday party for her granddaughter, we didn't know, some months later, man, that, she ended up passing. And so I'm saying, like, don't put off tomorrow what you could do today, right? If there's somebody you haven't seen or somebody you've been promised to go see them while you can. I guarantee you appreciate it in the end. So God bless them. And then next week we got Felicia, PhD, Dr. Felicia Pullian. She's going to be on the show. I'm looking forward to it because she has some innovative thoughts, ideas, and I want us to hear about those things. She's been a blessing to a number of people, man. It's going to be exciting next week, so make sure you tune in. So without further ado, we're going to have some highlights here, and then we're going to jump right into tonight's conversation.
Hello, Mount Vernon. My name is Bob Cimmino. I'm the varsity boys basketball coach at Mount Vernon High School. Our school, our team, takes in the entire city. We have 3 high schools that feed into our team. So whether you attend Mount Vernon High School, Denzel Washington, or the STEAM Academy, if you want to play basketball, you come up here to 100 California Road. We have many teams also. We start with 7th and 8th graders. We have modified teams. So if you're in high school or in middle school, we've got a team for you. Coming on to high school now, we have a freshman team, we have a JV team, and we have a varsity team. So we got a lot of stuff going. Basketball is a great tradition here. I'm proud to be part of it. Our coaches work really, really hard, but our players get the job done in the classroom and on the court. The two go together. We have some great scholar athletes. You can't play well on the court if you don't do your thing in the classroom. The dream is empty unless you take care of the books. So if you like bouncing that ball and you want to get better, come to basketball tryouts. They'll be in November. We are a winter sport. Thanks. Hope to meet you. Peace.
War's too nasty. War's too nasty.
Coach Bob Cimmino, welcome to the Blueprint.
Thank
Well,
you.
I'm sure that those memories never get old. This is recent, right? Those are recent highlights, but they never get old, no matter what. So to get started, I want to, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I just try to do a little research here. But in terms of basketball, Coach Bob Cimino's resume, right? 15 consecutive New York State Public High School Athletic Association Section 1 titles, seven same P NYPHSSA Class AA state champions, seven, four New York State Tournament of Champions Class A titles, and over 500 coaching wins. I'm sure there's more. so, Coach, is that correct?
Well, Coach, we didn't go 15 in a row. We got we got interrupted one or two times in that stretch. I think the most we did with Section 1 titles was 7 in a row. But overall, we're doing well. We're
Well,
doing well.
in the article I read, it sounds so much better.
Nice.
I read that. I was thinking that. Well, I know. I don't know as much as you know about how many you won, but I've been following for a while. I was like thinking like 15 consecutive. I'm saying Coach Cimmino gonna have to correct me on this one.
Yeah, I would say that kind of got stopped by a 75-foot shot.
Oh yeah, definitely with that. And I was there. And I was like, when he threw it up, I was like in New Rochelle, and when he threw it up, I was like, oh man. Hey, you got to take good with the bad, right?
Absolutely.
The powerful thing is that you get up tomorrow, you get back to work, and you move forward, and you appreciate the experience. So, real quick here, before we get into finding out who Coach Bob Cimmino is, and I think that whoever's listening, right, and if you have student, we're gonna have a curiosity conversation real quick here, right? Because I think right off the top, man, sometimes people come on and they hear the beginning of the show, and then all of a sudden they just kind of like either disappear. And I think if you have a student athlete or you are a student athlete, this curiosity conversation, I think, is important for you to hear, right? And and why you should, if you're a student athlete or you're the parent of a student athlete, why you should be pushing to make sure that your son or daughter are the very best student athletes they could be, because since the pandemic has become very challenging, right? And we're gonna have a little conversation. It's become very challenging to get scholarships for those coming out of high school. And Coach and I was talking before the show, and I want him to explain what's happening now, the process, because sometimes we don't know process, right? We just think we're gonna play and somebody's just gonna walk in, and like I used to tell kids all the time, man, where do you want to go to school, right? And they say, oh, I want to go here. Okay, what's the requirements for getting in there? Right? What is it that I have to do to achieve the goal to get in that school? Whether you're a student athlete or a student, right? You need to know those things. You need to know process before you wake up one day. You're a senior and you start thinking like, now you're thinking about it. Well, you should have been thinking about it, when you coming into your freshman year, and so talk about a little bit about how the landscape has changed when it comes to a student athlete, particularly in basketball, receiving a scholarship.
Sure, Coach. You mentioned the pandemic. The NCAA, in its wisdom or lack of wisdom, granted an extra year eligibility to all current NCAA players. So what that did, it made a huge backlog coaches on the college level did not have to immediately go out and recruit because they had their players for longer. So I was recently talking with a college coach, really good friend, and he explained exactly how the process seems to be going now. The first thing that college coaches now have to do is actually re-recruit their own players. There's so much transferring going on with this new transfer portal that a college coach, when his season ends, he has to make sure that he's saying the right things to his returning players to make sure that they're still going to be with him. After that, the coaches go to the transfer portal where they're looking for perhaps 21 and 22-year-olds who have been skilled and taught by some other college coaches. They're 2 or 3 years older than their, the high school athletes who might take their slots. So age has a lot to do now with the recruiting process also. So re-recruit your own transfer portal. After that, they're looking for the junior college players and some of the prep school players who, again, are older than your typical 17 or 18-year-old high school student. So the high school students have to be ready. They have to have their grades and everything in order because there's a lot more obstacles in their path now to get a scholarship.
Right. Yeah, and that most of the time when you hear me, you invite me to come to the camp to speak, or I'm speaking at a career day at a school, and you always hear me say, "Live in your future." Right, and if I could just quickly say from a basketball perspective, is that when I was a sophomore, right, and before I became a sophomore basketball player, I was always striving to think about what it is because I used to receive information from during the summertime, particularly, and particularly from Earl Tatum, right? He used to write. I used to write Earl back and forth, and he used to tell me about how hard it was being a college student. He said you can be successful, but it is hard. And he said, like, if you understand that when you're in high school, people are teaching you, and then when you get to college, you're kind of teaching yourself, right? And so he would say, look, hey, be a college student now, right? Study like a college student now. Work out like a college student now. So by the time you're a senior, you're really not a freshman, but you're a sophomore, right? And so, like, if you're a sophomore in high school, you want to know what a senior plays like or a junior plays like, and you want to accelerate, right? And I think if you don't accelerate with what you just spoke about, it's going to be extremely hard for a basic basketball player with some talent or potential to based on the rules to get an opportunity.
So true.
Yeah.
Great advice from Earl.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. So I said, okay, well, tell me what a freshman does. Tell me what a sophomore does. Tell me what a junior is doing that I'm not. And so then you have to start to practice that. So yeah, I mean, if you're out there listening, I mean, there's some nuggets. Like my grandfather used to say, Coach Cimmino just gave you some nuggets, or if you Dame Lillard, he dropping dimes. Coach just dropped some dimes for you, and this information that you need to know. So while you sitting on the couch just chilling out and not watching basketball or not have a plan to work out or study, right? You could be, even if you're talented, you could be behind the eight ball. So hey, you got to get with it, know the process. So Coach, I got 3 main questions to start out with. Number one, somebody, you remember this is interactive, so if you got any questions or comments, just pop them on the screen, man, and we'll see them at the bottom, and we'll do our best to answer them. Will this be a one-time exception?
Well, the additional year, I hope, was a one-time exception, but Pandora's box has been opened with the portal. things are just different now. There's just not that much loyalty to your college team right now. There really isn't. Uh, there's some instances where young folks are, they're getting their minutes and they're averaging 10 or 11 points in a sophomore or junior situation, and they're still looking to transfer.
Well, yeah. I mean, like the young lady from South Carolina was a freshman. I think she was a McDonald's freshman, and they won the national championship this year. I think they're going to lose a number of seniors. And I would say, like, hey, I'm a freshman. I'm about to jump in line. This is my time now, right? And then those kids are smart enough to know that maybe South Carolina just recruited, three other higher level McDonald's athletes. So they probably seen the handwriting on the wall that maybe I can't play here, and so they jump in the portal.
Right.
And I'll say this personally. I had a good freshman year. I came off the bench, so six man off the bench, and it was interesting. I was used all season long, and then when we got to the playoffs, right, team we had beaten twice during the season, and we got to the playoffs against that team, and I felt like I had an impact in that game. That game I didn't play, and we ended up losing. Right, we ended up losing the game, so I felt some kind of way. So I know as a student athlete, you feel like you cheated or something,
Yeah.
like you were cheated, and I thought I didn't know what it was to get up and say, "Oh, I'm gonna leave," but I felt a certain way, right? And at the time, nobody was getting up leaving, right? And there was no portal. But now, like you said, once Pandora's box is open, yeah. So I think there was another question.
With the NIL, with the student athletes being able to make money now. Again, some college coaches have said when they're recruiting athletes that the athletes are asking, well, how much does a player on your team make? Unheard of a few years ago, at least unheard of above the table.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I've heard some women, particularly in the as far as the WNBA is concerned, some kids are looking at it like, man, why should I go? I'm making more money at college than going to the WNBA. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. Well, coaches up in the
Up and leave for greener pastures.
oh, it said coaches up and leave for greener pastures. Yeah, I guess yeah. I mean, this happens every single year where coach has a good season, and then next thing you know, coaches leave.
Absolutely.
Yeah, St. Peter. Well, I think the St. Peter's was a very unique situation because they seem to know that when he did well and the job opened up at Seton Hall, it was like a win-win situation. I mean, and so that was kind of unique. He had his whole team at his press conference. I mean, at the new school. So, and then right away they put in they had another coach that was ready for that. So that was a unique situation. But coaches have gotten up and just left, for better situations. And that's what people have to understand, that even a coach at the college level, when opportunities open up like that, it's a job, so they're looking at that opportunity. And then you guys mentioned earlier when you and my wife and I were talking, and we're talking about the word loyalty. Right, so sometimes players are not loyal, and sometimes coaches are not loyal, and so yeah, this is and then also my wife said this is not only happening in sports, but it's happening in everyday life, including work and church. Everybody's looking for a better pastor. Everybody. So it's just. It's the pandemic. I say this, this is things that are happening in the pandemic. It just changed the whole dynamic, and we're trying to make an adjustment to it. But Coach, real quick, I had three questions that I asked, my guests, and they can answer them, not answer them, but to get to know a little bit about about you. Talk a little bit about family. The importance of family. Growing up, parents, siblings. Talk a little bit about the importance of education. You're not only just a basketball coach, but you're an AD, also a teacher, right? So talk a little bit about the importance of what maybe your parents instilled in you in regards to the importance of education, and what about any thoughts on the importance of faith?
Sure, Coach. Yeah, I'm in Mount Vernon all my life. I've lived in the middle. I lived on the south side, lived on the north side, and so it took in a lot. My parents did the absolute best they could as far as making sure that myself, my brother, and my sister got a good quality education. They took care of us, and I was always looking at how much my father worked. He worked so hard. He would work a full-time job, and then at night he would go out late at night, and he'd be working on delivering the papers, extra newspapers, and he'd come home, take a shower, go back out to work. So I I, I didn't know. I thought that was normal, and um, I realized a few years later that he was really doing all of this for us. And when I started to work, there was no such thing really in my mind as an 8-hour day. So I wanted to get in a good position to have a good life. So I followed through with that. The working habit that my parents had instilled in me, I think I bring with me. As far as faith goes, we were by the old St. Francis of Assisi Church on
Yeah.
South 10th. The building's still there, but the new tenants, and just again, the whole thing, the church is trying to be a family, and having some Italian ancestry, having some English and Irish also on the other side. Everything is family. And so when I come to Mount Vernon High School, I kind of tried to bring my family attitudes. I was a JV coach for a while. Before that, I was a CYO coach. And I tried to see what people were interested in that would make them work and make them work hard and stay together. So our team is a family. We have a coaching staff and coach, by the way, I want to thank you. You were undefeated with us as a coach. The 2000 team, that's right up on our wall. It's a beautiful thing. And the many lessons that you can instill. There it is. That's a nice picture. That was our first picture, 2000. And family, if your players believe that you're doing things for them and with them, they're going to buy in. And I try to treat each one of my players as if they were my own children. So I'm going to yell. I'm going to applaud good behavior. I'm going to tell them what I think in the future, what they need to do right now to stay on a path. And if you're genuine with a Mount Vernon athlete, it works wonders. And that's why our teams have been so good over the years. Our players believe in what we do and say. My coaching staff is almost all former players. And if you can have your coaches as your former players, the buy-in is incredible, because those are some nice pictures right there. Because the players see, well, they walked in my shoes. They must know what they're talking about. I'm going to listen. They did their thing. And the day that we won the state championship this year, in the locker room afterwards, one of the things I said to the 16 players, I said, young kids are going to talk about you for years to come. Mount Vernon coaches are going to talk about you for years to come, and some of you will become Mount Vernon coaches. And I truly believe this team this year, some amazing young men who are going to lead us. I do believe they help lead us out of the pandemic. Great young people who ended up 24-0.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, and as you could see, you see some pictures up there, man, and we just these players just keeps going and going and going and going and going. And look at that 500 wins. Well, it ain't 500 wins anymore. It's more than 500 wins. Now you heading towards that 600 and 700. How long, Coach? I mean,
As long as I think I can still relate to the fellas, Coach, I'm staying healthy. I enjoy what I do, and I don't know. I'd like to go a few more years.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, no, you know what and you might say, oh, 2 more years, and then I think I'm done. You get home, be like Tom Brady.
Great point. Great
Yeah,
point.
because it's in your blood. It's in your blood, and it's something like you enjoy doing, and and it's great to be able to mold young men.
Absolutely.
It's a great opportunity, and I think Carmine is down there. I think he says, "Lowe's, can you ask Bob if he would ever leave coaching the Knights for college or pro?"
I can't see it happening because I like to say that in general, I don't want to be told to go for somebody's bagel and coffee. I don't. I don't want to start all the way on the bottom of the totem pole like a good assistant coach would have to. If someone came along tomorrow and said, "Look, here's a $2 or $3 million. Would you consider it?" Yeah, I'd consider it then. But I'd ask my players first.
Okay, no. Hey, when money get involved, you know, hey, you never know. But it's not always the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow whether you get those $2 or $3 million or not. Yeah,
That's a
it's a whole nother challenge.
I see Miss Nolan asking a question. The biggest reason our program stays on top, I, I think it's that we have the family atmosphere and we go 12 months. Um, Once the season ends, we actually, with the championship, we took a couple of weeks where we didn't meet, but now that's over. And so we're allowed to have open gyms. We continue to have our study halls, and each part of the calendar year means something different, and our players absolutely expect it. Some of them shouted me out a couple times. Why didn't we start weightlifting again? So this Thursday we're going to start weightlifting again, and then the summer comes, and we're playing AAU all over the place already. We'll have the summer. We stay together. We stay together during the summer, and then the fall is like the Heinz ketchup. It's the anticipation of the coming season, so everyone stays excited. We're a family, so you don't disband.
Yeah, that's cool. And also let me digress for a minute because a couple of things. I don't know if we. I remember playing against Saint Ursula back in the day when I was a little kid, and we used to go over to the church from the boys club, particularly Jimmy Jones.
Mm.
We used to come over and play. I don't know if you were a part of playing there. Do you play over there, Coach?
I did, Coach. I did.
Yeah. I know that was a.
You probably dunked on me.
I don't know at that age I was dunking.
Well,
I don't think I was dunking at that age, but oh man, no. But I just remember going over to St. Ursula's and because you usually playing in your boys club at the time, and going out was a big deal. Going over to play a game at St. Ursula's or going over to play in the Bronx or something like that was always a big deal, man. It was playing somebody new, somebody
right, right.
different. Yeah, and we were little. And the nice thing was back then, man, we were kind of treated as particularly in the recreation league, right? Barry Horn treated us like we were like pros or something. With the box scores and the stories he used to write. I mean, he just made Mount Vernon. He made for us, for a little kid, to see his, just even if it was in the box score, you knew it was you. It said more
Right.
0 0 0 0 0. But even before then, Coach, as we digress for a moment on in regards to baseball, right? Because you played a big part in baseball. That's where I started at. I started in the junior minor, the minor league, little league, playing baseball. And so, talk a little bit about that and the transition from baseball. And at one time, I think he was the commissioner of baseball, and then the transition into JV coaching.
Sure. Well, I was playing in the old Lincoln School playground, and a friend of mine, I was 17 years old at the time, a friend of mine named George Ciancio, he grabbed me and he said, "We're going to go next door to St. Ursula's, and we're going to coach this 8th grade team." And I said, "Coach kids? Get out of here. I don't want to coach. I don't want to coach little kids. I just want to play." So he dragged me in there, and 2 or 3 months after that, George moved away. So I was the coach. And you're only as good as your players. So I took the ride down to Brush Park, and I said, "I'm going to recruit. I'm going to go down here, see who the best baseball player." I always believe you can teach a baseball player to play basketball. I don't think you can teach a basketball player to hit a ball. I do think hitting a baseball is probably the hardest thing in sports, or close to it. So I went down to recruit, and the great Sonny Fountain was down there, and he said, "Bob, get over here." I said, "What's up, Sonny?" He said, "We're short." I said, "Short what?" "I need an umpire." "Oh, Sonny, I don't want. Bob, you're umpiring." So Sonny got me down there. I stayed. I became the head umpire for 5 years. Then they asked me to become the commissioner of the league. And Brush Park in those days, I get so many great comments when I put up a Throwback Thursday picture on Instagram of the Little League. Absolute family. I learned so much. I played at Brush Park, but when I was down there, commissioner, on a Saturday or a Sunday, you had people from all walks of life down there for the common good of watching young people honing their skills, getting better at the game of baseball and the game of life. And had an amazing coaching staff back then. It wasn't just, "Okay, I got 2 kids, I'm the coach." No, these were men and women who stayed when their kids left. These are men and women who stayed who were there when they didn't even have kids. So it was a beautiful, beautiful atmosphere. Get to meet people like the great Haywood Walton down there, among so many. And I learned about life in Brush Park. And my players from St. Ursula's, they were going on to this big building on California Road. And this guy named Tony Ferrantino, was coaching. And he used to come by and he'd give me a stack of flyers to try to get some of our players to go to camp. And the trade-off used to be I could come up when he was showing his man-to-man defense. And so I could pick up a few things to put in the coaching repertoire. Oh, that's a great picture there.
Yeah, we're going to talk about them a little bit later.
Very good. So after, my players are going on, Tony leaves, Marshall Reef becomes the head coach, and his assistant, Joe Galgano, a great friend of mine, coached with me at St. Ursula's. Marshall says, "Do you want to coach the summer league team?" And I said, "Sure." So I coached the summer league team, names like Rasul Salahuddin, Dean Marshman. Great experience. And then Louis DeMello was in the mix also. Yeah. Louis left. Joey moved up. The JV job became open, and they asked me if I wanted to do JV. So For about 4 or 5 years, I coached the St. Ursula 8th grade, and I coached the JV. What a great time period.
Yeah, great time period. You weren't down there when you mentioned Sonny Fountain, so he was a legend back in the day. Uh, you know, and then what was it, the Ramsey boys, man? I mean, they were umpires. I was like, man, we was always yelling at them guys. Man, you don't know, you can't guys can't see. You know, what kind of umpires you guys?
Well, biggest was in charge of the park. I was
Yeah.
down there, so and Herb would come down sometimes. But they looked out for the park, and they really appreciated what we did with the league. So this is a great friendship with the Ramseys.
Yeah. And then they had the nerve to go to recreation
Oh,
basketball and referee the game.
yes. That was an amazing thing.
Oh man, those were good times, man.
It
Growing up
really
with
was.
them guys, man. Hey, I'm gonna give you a tech, man. You better coach. You better get your player.
Right.
So and then after JV, because historically, traditionally, I mean, Mount Vernon's had some great basketball teams, and of course, great coaches as well. And I mean, then taking on the role as the varsity coach. I mean, what was that like? Did you feel like a lot of pressure in the transition?
When the job opened, I never wanted to be Mount Vernon varsity coach. Coaching the JV was the greatest job in the world because you got the best young athletes. You got that superb crew of ninth graders who you would coach, and if you lost, nobody ever knew. Nobody read it in the newspaper that the JV lost. So it was a
Right.
great job, and I got to hang out, of course, as a part-time varsity assistant. But when the job opened up, the reason I put in for it was twofold. I had the players who had played for me either at St. Ursula's or on the JV, and I was afraid that the next coach who came along might not want me to be part of the program. So I put in for it, and I really was not nervous. I knew that there was some giants whose footsteps I was trying to follow, legends, but I just wanted to go in there and bring a real good experience for the young folks who I had coached, who I knew, and I knew what they wanted. I knew what they wanted in life, and I was just going to try to help them get it and maybe win some games along the way.
Awesome. I think I interviewed at the same time you did.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew that or not, but yeah, we
There was
interviewed.
about 4 or 5 people, I think, back then.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, 4 or 5 people interviewing for the job. I mean, I was recommended. It wasn't something I was looking to do because I was at the Boys and Girls Club at the time, and I was somebody recommended me, and so I went in. I went in for the interview. Because we were trying to make this transition between, taking the club to its next level. So it was, a lot of real responsibilities, and so that was great. And then eventually, getting an opportunity to coach with you. I think that year 2000 was a special time. I mean, I felt fulfilled in an opportunity to give back at the high school level, to bring some experience and things that I had experienced, to be able to share with the player. It was fulfilling for me. I think I was there like 5 years, and I know the first year we ended up being undefeated, and I hope that I was able to bring something to the table, man. That was
Sure did.
yeah, you know. Yeah, and for me. That was a great time. I mean, it was all 5 years, and then plus having them, spending time with them when they were young. Some of the kids were younger at the Boys and Girls Club when I first came in. So I remember their elementary school and middle school, and then coming up to help with to be an assistant coach with you. that was a special time because it's like you following your kids.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and then I felt like with me, there's always time. You know, you don't know when it's time to leave. So and then I was trying to raise my own kids in that process. So it got down towards the end. It was hard to leave, but I had to, because some guys started when I came in, and I wanted to make sure that I was there. All the way till they graduated. I didn't want to leave anybody like that. So it was great to see continued success, all these years, man. So, yeah, that's cool. And so how do you, I think we got another question here. Can you ask Coach how many of his former players made it to the NBA and names?
Well, it's a very small list. The one that made it big, without a doubt, was Ben Gordon. Fantastic, fantastic athlete who led us he was a junior in 2000, and he led us to the undefeated 28-0 team, state and feds. And then he went on to win a national championship at UConn. I was there in San Antonio watching him win. And then he was drafted number three in the draft in 2004, and he had a stellar career, Chicago and Detroit and a few other teams. Also, Kevin Jones. He was not drafted, but he ended up playing for Cleveland for a little bit, and he's a 2008 graduate who is still playing. 2008 grad, he's still playing in Japan, making a ton of money, and he's still one of the most famous people, self-included, of course, Coach, in West Virginia history. So they love Kev down there. Isaiah Cousins was drafted by Sacramento, and he had a great career. Went to the Final Four. Went to the Final Four with Oklahoma, and it's those three to mind. Right now, Marlon Taylor, we're hoping that he catches on soon.
Yeah,
We're getting some G League action. He's a human highlight film.
without a doubt. Yeah, and then some people don't count like overseas. So you've had a number of players, including Jabari Hines, who's still playing overseas.
Yes, he is.
And back in the you also had Chris Lowe, who was playing. I think he played overseas in Australia for a while, and then Jonathan Mitchell, right? And now these guys are coaching.
College coaches.
Yeah, college coaches now. And when you was, I always say when you coaching players and they turn into coaches, you be like, what?
Yeah.
So we got a number of questions here. Do you feel paying college students becomes a major distraction for players, and do you think it's opened the door for unethical manipulation?
I'm going to wait and see thought process on that. I mean, it's always been so unfair that John Calipari could make $8 million a year, and his players would have to worry about transportation money. So anytime money's involved, anything is possible. Anything is possible. I hope it can stay above board. And
Yeah.
change is difficult. Sometimes it's good, but change is inevitable also. So
Yeah, and then sometimes if it's a perfect system, right? I mean, I guess they put in the best policies, right, for players and coaches to follow. And then sometimes people try to bend those rules, right? And unfortunately, that happens everywhere. So, I mean, and this is without paying players,
right.
right? I mean, so before paying, they're not really paying players because not everybody's getting paid. So if you got a name and you're in a certain status, you're going to get some money, but not everybody's going to get money. It's not like everybody's going to get paid, right? And I think that's the unethical part of it has been forever. It's nothing new. That's just the nature of college basketball. Question for those. Is a question for those. Do you think Bob Cimmino deserves to have his name on the Mount Vernon High School floor? Oh, well, hold on. You heard me read the information, right? Right. We got a legend in the building, right? Yeah, I believe Coach. Yeah, I mean he's done something in coaching that nobody in Westchester, maybe New York, maybe, and you can go outside of that. You can think of maybe a few coaches who've done what Coach Cimmino's doing, right? And you got to go to DeMatha, right, man? Maybe DeMatha High School. And here's the unique thing about, you know, other schools that have won championships across the country, particularly in high school, right? Mount Vernon doesn't recruit. Right. And so when you think of DeMatha and all these great schools in the past, man, and even all these great schools now, National School, Oak Hill, all these different schools, they get to recruit players. They can go out in the country and say, okay, I'm going to pick you, and you. Right. But these are Mount Vernon kids, you know, grown up in Mount Vernon, moved into Mount Vernon, and they play basketball here. And you've seen or heard Coach Cimmino's resume, right? Powerful. So yeah, I mean, if somebody said, I wouldn't disagree. You know, I wouldn't disagree that his name shouldn't be on the floor. I would not disagree. Hey, the Bob Cimmino Mount Vernon High School gym floor. You know, I don't know. That'd be awesome, right, Coach? You see your name on the floor.
Well, Coach, you'll share that. You know what's awesome? Those clips that you had before. Um, I don't need the accolades, but I am so fortunate when there's 20 seconds left in the game, and you know your players have the ball, and you know they're about to become state champions, and you feel a rush come through your body. And then when that final clock goes off and you watch 16 young men who have dedicated their whole life to this game celebrate what they just got, that's all I need. That's more than I need. At that particular junction, I feel very, very selfish.
Yeah, but again, Coach, and I hear you. I'm gonna say that in some instances, I agree with you, but sometimes when in humility, there could be false humility. I used to say that to Mr. Jones. We don't want you. Like, I'm not looking for anything. I was there to play the game of basketball, something that I love to do, right? And because of it, I got great rewards, right? But like Mr. Jones, I used to say to him all the time, man, you got like kind of force. You should have a sign on the block, right? So and it's important because let me tell you why it's important. Because long after you're gone, when your name is on the floor. Just say, for instance, your name is on the floor. Coach Bob Cimmino. Oh, who is that? Well, then people get to say, right? Oh, he was a former coach of Mount Vernon High School, and this is what he did, right? And then when you look at all those pictures we showed earlier, all the alumni, right? Think about all those men, those young men that turn into men, right? Which is more important, than it. Winning is great. I love winning, so winning is great. But when you help people win at life, that's greater. And somebody should acknowledge that because somebody else has said, I want to be like Coach Cimmino. I want to do the same thing he did, right? I want to have that impact on the lives of men. So I think it's important. I mean, nobody. I mean, my jersey's on the wall. I'm pushing for people to put my jersey on the wall, but it's a good thing when somebody graduates and does something, and people reward you for it, and then you could talk about, oh, that person was a really nice person. More than he was a player, he was a student, he was an athlete, he was a good person, right? So we may not want those things, but in history, they are important, right? So yeah, I say put the name on the floor with that. He may not want it, but I'm gonna put it there. We gonna put it there. Hello to two great men, Coach. With your many recent with suicides, particularly among high school and college players, with the stress of academics and life and their sports, how do you help our knights recognize that their mental health is just as important as their physical health, particularly with all that is going on around them? It's a point that just can't we can't ignore or can't be ignored.
Well, you've got to treat each player, you know, individually. You've got to listen, and you've got to make yourself show that you're vulnerable as a human, as an adult. Also, explain stress in your life and offer avenues of help and counsel for any of the young folks whenever they need it. Try to anticipate difficult, stressful situations that they might encounter, and try to give past experiences, how other players have gone through difficult situations. Jay Wright is retiring. Not sure. It was kind of sudden and kind of quick. I hope everything's all right health wise. And Jay Wright always taught that you've got to be the keeper of the flame. You have to be able to tell the stories of your team and of your program. So to all our young folks, the level of stress has never been greater than it is now with the pandemic and on. And you've just got to constantly monitor, listen, and always be available to help. And we bring in a lot of different individuals to speak on a variety of subjects.
Mm-hmm.
And Coach, many people over the years have made fun of our Mount Vernon number of chairs that we have, because we've got a lot of coaches. But to know Mount Vernon, our players are fortunate because all of our coaches have specific functions. They relate. Everybody relates differently. One player may like this coach, be able to talk to this coach more than another. Another two can relate to this coach, and the life experiences that they have is helpful. So we're going to Rosie, again, we're just going to constantly stay on the look for any situations and try to bring in people all the time who can always lend a helping hand.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I remember my experience coaching with you, Coach, and we tried to do a lot of relating the sport to life, right? And we talked about when you think about turnovers. Sometimes with players, man, at the end of the day, they make a turnover, you lose a game because you made the turnover, you missed a shot, right? That's traumatic, right? And if you don't have somebody there to say, hey, there's another game tomorrow, right? I mean, this is not the end of your career. And some people take those things very personally, but when you have people relating the sport to life, right? And then also you spend a lot of time with those young men, right? So they know, and a number of the other coaches, they know you care, right? And so not only are you and your system, your extracurricular activity, particularly with sports, is a support to a family, right? And so when you get to play basketball, their family has values, and then they come into a system that has value. And I always respect the fact that that after, or if somebody walk in a gym, right? Somebody walks into the gym, right? And as soon as a person walk in the gym, if you guys are not in a drill or something like that, you get in some water or whatever, they will run over to that adult or to that person that comes in the gym, and they will shake their hand and introduce themselves. Right? Those are very powerful practices, right? To learn respect for anybody that walks in that gym. Right? And with that in mind, when you put those things in place in terms of basketball, right? And particularly in your gym and in your family of basketball, how do you think, has it been successful in translating into other areas of life, like when they leave you? Because Mount Vernon basketball is its own environment, its own culture, its own world, right? And so how do they translate it in regards to when they go back into the community, right? After they leave practice and they're no longer with coach and no longer with their teammates, how do you think it transitions? Do they maintain that same respect, do you think?
For the most part, yes, Coach. For the most part, yes. The stage that the players have and the advantages that they have with all the opportunities, it's life changing. And I honestly believe that they come out with a little extra push. They have the ability to see certain situations. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from our players, whether it be in the business community, with some of the life lessons that they learned from being on the team. Even had a couple of players said some of the things that they learned, they took into war in Iraq. And that really moved me to hear that something that we did on the court, in the gym, made such a great impression. And basketball is life. You could watch someone play and you can tell a little something about their personality right away. And if basketball can open doors, and you can learn more, I believe, in a season of basketball than you can in many subjects, because it's automatic, on the spot stress, instant education. You get an instant report card every time you're up and down the floor. And then you see the reaction from your teammates, from your coaches, from the scoreboard, from the fans. You're putting yourself out there. You're opening yourself up to a world of criticism, which is what happens in life.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, even learning, we don't like losing, but occasionally we lose games, and learning how to lose. I mean,
That's
how
so
to
important.
how to adjust when you lose, and because in life situations happen in life, right? And then like you were just saying earlier, when we were talking about the 15 consecutive championships, right? And you say, "Oh no, I don't think it was 15. I think it was like maybe the most we had was 7 in a row." But just think about, like, you think you have the game won, that like the New Rochelle game, right? And there's no way in the world somebody's going to shoot somebody from 75 feet and just knock a shot down, but it happened, and you had those young people had to deal with that, And some people may go, "Oh, it was my fault. I shouldn't have do that." You know what I'm saying? So you have to talk to them, but that's a microcosm of life.
Yes.
Yes, things like that happen in life. So you have to learn how to manage that. You know, so and so I got a picture here of some guys, some older gentlemen here, legends like yourself. You got Coach Couch, and then one of the greatest scouts of our time. I mean, I remember him scouting when I was a kid. I don't know what he said, but I mean, but he just, he just recently passed. I mean, I could remember as a player and just even as a coach and just going to different gyms. And what's his name again? I can't remember.
Tom Konchowski.
Tom Kachowski. Yeah, man, he was everywhere, just
Amazing.
sitting quietly in a corner, just taking notes all day, all the time. Right? I mean, just and nobody didn't know who he was. Right? He just and you didn't know he was scouting you or writing stuff on you, but he's been doing this. I don't know,
Since the
years.
60s, since the 60s.
Yeah, yeah. Just and then Coach Couch. When I was in high school, he's in the middle, Coach Couch, and he very influential in regards to boys and girls. And when I was in high school, in college and stuff, we used to work out with him at the PAL down in the Bronx. All of us used to go down there, me, Gus, and Ray, and all of us used to go down there. We competed against like Mark Jackson and all, Walter Barry and all the young players back in the day and all the Ed Pickney and all the older players. We used to get in the gym. He used to work us out.
Yes.
And then we would play.
Yeah.
And he's still going. I mean, he's still rolling.
Just
And
turned 91.
91. Yeah. I just seen him recently when we were at his tournament. He's still going strong. And then Mr. Davis.
Mr. Davis.
Right. I didn't know, man. That it hurt my heart to know that I didn't know he had lost his wife.
Yes.
I was having a conversation with him not too long ago at the last game I was at. And man, I was like, well, no, it wasn't then. We were walking out for some reason, he was walking out the gym and we was walking to the car together with his daughter.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was during the parade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when I was saying hello, congratulations to you guys, we were all walking back to the car together. And I didn't know he had lost his wife. I just, I was like, wow. You can't see one without the other. I mean, that was
Absolutely.
like, yeah. So, and he's been an amazing super fan.
Yes.
You want to say anything about Mr. Davis?
Well, we call him he has a few names. We call him the team owner, the mentor. Whenever we have a function with a lot of speeches, Mr. Davis comes in at the end and he sums up everything. He takes the mic. He says, I don't need this. And his voice just dominates the room.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And there's nothing like hearing Mr. Davis yell at Mount Vernon Knights saying, come on, big team. Come on, big team.
Yeah. And I remember at County Center, man, he had to get up there, him and his wife, and then position themselves like right center court.
Yes.
They get there early and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those are wonderful things. And the things you guys used to do for your fundraiser, and all the guys got to dress up. Right. I didn't have. There was some pictures in there that I had found where they were all dressed in their suits and stuff like that, and going to the pancake breakfast or the breakfast, and yeah, and those are life lessons. Life lessons as well, because when you go for interviews, you got to dress up. You got to put on good clothes. You got to learn how to speak. Yeah, all those things are important. And then you had an amazing opportunity. I don't know if it's one or two times to coach the McDonald's All-American game.
Coached the McDonald's game in 2011. Yeah.
Yeah, and you
Brad
see
Beal right there.
Yeah, there's KP.
Yep.
And there's Bill from the Wizards, and then
Cook.
he played with the Golden State Warriors. He won the
Yes.
championship with the Golden State Warriors. Played at Duke.
Yeah.
Yeah, KCP. Yeah. So yeah, man. And how was that experience?
That was an insanely great week. We won the state and federation, I believe, on a Saturday or a Sunday. Quinn Cook, thank you, Isaiah.
Quinn Cook.
Yeah. I was thinking Omar Cook. We won the state and feds on a Saturday or Sunday. They flew us out. Myself, Coach Brian Pritchett, and Coach Dwayne Murray. They flew us out to Chicago. We came in there, and they told us we probably didn't have a chance to win because Anthony Davis was on the other team, and we decided to show up anyway. And we brought a little Mount Vernon defense to the United Center, and we played in front of over 20,000 people, and we got the win.
Yeah. I remember watching that on TV. That was good.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was cool. Um, uh, Jermaine, Jermaine, I always call him Jermaine. What's your advice to upcoming Mount Vernon night players?
Yeah, Coach Jermaine, that's a great question. Try to do what you're supposed to do in the classroom. Again, your habits will determine your future. We can get young people into good habits. That was another thing I took from Jay Wright. I spent quite a few practice sessions with Coach Wright over the years, and one year the word habit dominated everything that he did. And if we can get the young folks into good habits of going to class on time, of turning your work in, then the ball becomes that much more easy. And you've got to try to associate yourselves with people who want to get ahead in life. You've got to look at your friends, see the circle that you're in, and hopefully you can keep on learning every day. Learn. And at tryouts each year, we just tell the players to listen and to hustle, and those two things help in life.
Yeah, that's awesome. Any other questions up there, before we
Just comments.
just comments? Hey, Coach, congratulations on the chip this year. Lowe's coached played against some of my Mount Vernon recreation teams.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you.
Yeah. Ron's all the way out in California. Winning,
Wow.
he winning some chips out there too.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a high school coach out there
Beautiful.
in California doing this thing. And then it says here, hey, Coach, not just a coach, but a teacher and an athletic director.
Oh, that lady likes me, you know.
My boss.
She made life, Coach Lowe's, as you know, your wife made life so much easier for me when she just came in and said, we don't have to put the wall up every day of practice. The girls can go home late sometimes. The boys can go home late the other time. She was just great to have as a co-coach.
Oh no, that was a good time.
It was.
Yeah,
Definitely
that
was.
was a real good time, man.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know what happened to my, I usually show my floor, the old floor.
Oh, you got a chunk of floor?
I got a chunk of floor. I don't know where it's at, but it's around here somewhere. I think. Oh, there it goes, right there. Yeah. I got my floor there because that's the legendary floor right there.
Yes. Yeah.
I got my floor. That was awesome, man. And and I had Ben on a few weeks ago, man. He was it was an awesome
Very nice.
interview. He's doing well, and and I was just thinking about those times, back then. And so what do you think in this day and time? I mean, here's a quick question. Now I got about two of them. It says, what's the difference between the players when you first started coaching and the players current? Is there a difference? I mean, have you had to change coaching strategies from the first time? I would just say in 2000 when you started, you won the first. I think it's the first county championship, right? Is there a difference between players then and players now?
Well, I would have to say 95 was our first, because if I didn't
90
say that, Coach Gary Bryant, my assistant, would definitely yell at me because he
was on that team.
He was on that team. He's my first scholarship player, so he would yell for sure.
Okay, 95.
The phone, the cell phone is it's a huge distraction for the players. If it's also made them so much smarter in so many regards. They know so much about other players now, about other trends. but the cell phone can dominate their time. The other thing that I've had to get used to is that
Social media.
there's no more playground legends, and that hurts me terribly to say that. Playground ball used to be a huge part, a big advantage for us in Mount Vernon. We had great playgrounds over the years, but players shy away from the playgrounds now. All of a sudden, the concrete takes a different toll now. They've been told it takes a toll. So I had to actually get used to the workout trend, where a lot of players have their own guru, and that you get used to that. You just have to. Fourth Street, of course. Fourth Street, of course. But you have to get used to dealing with them. So I just tell my players early on, look, how many defensive drills did you just do with your workout specialist? And they say, well, that's not what we're doing. I say, well, that's what we're going to be doing. So there's not much team concepts either. But the workouts are necessary, and the workout gurus are great. They're great. But the team game, players, to me, they're not that different. I honestly believe that whenever you start to hear coaches say that the players are very different, it's time for the coaches to maybe not coach anymore. Because if you give kids good information, and if you work hard for them, and if you're loyal to them, I see them still paying it back over and over and over again. You can't fool young folks.
Yeah. You got another question down there. What are some of your former players who are playing, not playing basketball and coaching doing today?
Well, I'm proud to say we've got. I was at a function the other night, Friday night, and there was three principals, three assistant principals who played for me, and they're doing their thing now. And that some of the lessons they still talk about some of the things that we did, and they're really proud of what the game has done for them. Have others who are becoming lawyers into a lot of different positions. We seem to have an influx as of late of fire department employees.
Yeah.
The police used to play the firemen in a charity game. I don't think the police are going to want to do that anymore.
Oh man! And so moving forward, what do you think the goal is in terms? What do you think the next team? Because you just won a state championship. What does it look like next year? Before you answer that, you have several seniors, right? And what's their next? What are they going to do next? Have they made any decisions on where they're going to school? Or
we have 9 seniors. We're losing 9, and it's actually most of the taller folks. They're going on. Out of the 9 right now, two are committed to schools. We got one who just committed to CCNY, and another committed to Rockland Community College. And we're in the process. One of the gents is going to play football, and then we're taking a few trips with a few of the others, and all nine will be graduating on time in June, and we'll be going on. And I believe everybody wants to play at the next level.
Awesome. So
and
now
7 returners, Coach. 7 returners.
Seven returners. Okay.
And we probably are going to have the best backcourt in New York State, if not the East Coast, next year, with Dylan Colon, who is Mr. Basketball, right there, and Elijah Morris. They're the righty-lefty 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
They were both starters this year, along with Justin Robinson. And we just had some amazing players together. So the challenge for next year is to try to repeat.
So, so that means getting back in the lab, and there you go at the Brooklyn Nets game.
That was pretty cool being put up on the screen there. A really good friend of mine had a lot to do with that, and I was sitting with a few of my players at the game, and along came a director, and he said, "The next time out, you're going to be on the jumbotron there, the screen." I said, "Okay, what do I got to do?" He said, "Just say hello." So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that was awesome, and yeah, hey, coach, they probably could have used you in these last in these last few games, man.
Nash is taking some heat.
Yeah, he's taking some heat right now. I
Yeah,
don't know why he's taking. He got two of the greatest players of our time, so it falls on their shoulders. I mean, hey, all he can do is put him in the game, man. They got to go out there and win. It's not like he can go out there and do anything. I mean, he probably could.
Celtics are bringing some of that Detroit Piston bad boy stuff back.
Oh, yes, they are. And if you ain't ready for it,
Mm,
and all of them, I always say like they're taking on the spirit. These young guys are taking on the spirit of Smart, Marcus
yes.
Smart, and just like Patrick Beverly, the Timberwolves young guys and players are taking on his spirit of that toughness and gritty kind of basketball, like the old bad boys, like you say, bad boys, and the Knicks.
Yes.
Remember the Knicks? The
Oh
Knicks
yeah.
was physical like that.
What is this?
Yeah, yeah. So, no. This was awesome, man, Coach. And I want to wish you continued success, man. Thanks for taking the time out your busy schedule to come hang out with me for a little while. And I always look forward to coming during the summertime and checking out some games over there in New Rochelle
Nice.
and then coming, stopping every now and then, stopping in the gym and checking you guys out and going to the games, man. It's pretty cool.
Well, it's always great to see you come in and come around, and I like when you just take everything in and then you say, "Coach, what's going on?" You come up with some gems usually and drop them on me, and I can't believe how fast this hour and a half went. It was fantastic
Oh yeah,
talking with you.
yeah. Thank you. And it happens quick. Everybody say hour and a half, and then you blink, right?
Yeah.
And time flies. And we may have to do it again. Come up with a subject on how we could help some of these student athletes. Have a serious conversation about their preparation. And give some nuggets and stuff like that. We may have to do
Great.
this again. Yeah, yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
We can't go without going
M-O-N,
Mount
Vernon.
Mount
Vernon.
Vernon.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man.
Definitely.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm looking forward to next year to see those two guards, man, are amazing. I say this in closing, Coach. I was sitting up there, I think it was Newburgh, right? And you guys were so amazing, and the players are so amazing because they got out into a quick start, right? And I think it was like 11,
Yeah.
like 11 nothing.
Step. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was sitting up there, and a bunch of coaches started coming up. Basically, they don't know who I am, so they sitting around me, and everybody's talking. All the college coaches is talking, and I found it interesting. And based on what we talked about earlier with the portal, transfer portal, and community and junior college players and stuff like getting older players, they were just sitting up there, just looking at players, and I was thinking like, man, you have some really good players, right? And because if they look at your players, there's some diamonds in the rough, and sometimes coaches don't see that because they're looking for the McDonald's guy, right? And Ben didn't end up being a McDonald's guy, but he was that diamond in the rough. And I think when I look at your players play, a lot of coaches are not going to see it, because they always looking at the political side, the hype that the media gives players, right? And they won't look at you. They won't look at as deeply at your players, but they got some good qualities because they come from a winning system. They come from a winning program. They come from an amazing tradition. And sometimes we don't look at those things. And they could be valuable if they handle their business in the classroom and they keep their character straight. They could play at the next level, right? It's just if a coach or a school is willing to give them the opportunity because they come from good soil.
Right. Totally agree, Coach.
Yeah. So sometimes we just look over players. Oh, this is just high school, and we put all our, we're gonna run over a little bit, but I gotta ask this question because you mentioned it, one of the main reasons there's no more 4th Street or playground legends. I mean, AAU is kind of taken over for the playground activity.
Right.
And so, what's your thoughts? I mean, there's some good, definitely some good in AAU. But what is your thought about that process between AAU and high school basketball?
Well, they're starting to legislate more and more on the AAU scene. It used to be insane to have a 15 or 16-year-old go out to some tournament in California and play 7 games in 2 days or 8 games in 2 days. I heard someone the other day say we might have 5 games. So the bigger push is to limit it to 2 games per day. They're also starting to do more background checks on AAU coaches to make sure that they're serious individuals and that they're going to give the correct information to the young folks. And AAU is, I used to call it a necessary evil. I want to go give it a little more positive spin now. It's your better players can be seen in settings with a ton of coaches. So if you find the right program for your players, they can be very fortunate. You can get a lot of looks. That's what the players always want to be looked at. A lot of looks if they're on the right team in the right situation. The problem is that you're not signing up, you're not locked in, and a lot of times these AAU coaches are just looking at the door and they're seeing if someone ducks who's coming in. Oh, you're on the team now. They're looking for more, and the loyalty factor just isn't there.
Wow. Well, Coach, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate this. I mean, we might have to do this again because I think we need to talk a little bit more in regards to, student athletes at every level. Talking to parents, students about preparation for what it is to be a student athlete, and what it takes to actually get a scholarship at a Division I level, right? And it is definitely work. You definitely got to put in the work. So, again, thank you. I'm sure we'll be in touch. I mean, I haven't been up to swim in a minute, but I'm usually coming to practice for a minute, checking you guys out, get my swim in, come back, and say hello to the guys and stuff like that. But yeah, thanks a lot. I want to say thank you for the opportunity to coach with you, and thanks for taking the time out to jump on here with me and have this conversation.
Absolutely, it was my pleasure. Definitely want to do it again.
Yes,
Look forward to hearing your summer speech to the fellas.
Yeah.
Where we can all learn a little something new.
Yeah, I try to bring something a little creative
Me too.
every time I come. Everybody like, what? What's going on? So again, Coach, thank you very much. And
Thank you,
we're going
Coach.
to sign off right now. So I want to say thank you for tuning in this evening. Thank you for your support of the Blueprint podcast. I do appreciate it. I love you guys. I hope you have an awesome week. And next week, don't forget about, Dr. Pulliam. Felicia Pullen. She has some creative and wonderful programs that we're going to talk about next week. She just got her doctorate. I want to say congratulations, Felicia, congratulations. And I'm looking forward to next week, man. I love you guys. God bless you. Enjoy the week, regardless of what the weather looks like. Enjoy it, because every day you wake up is truly a blessing. God bless you.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Lowe's More, the Blueprint Podcast. Stay connected and follow us at our website, www.lowesmore.com. That's LOWESMOORE.com. You can also join the discussion on Twitter at Lowe's More and on Facebook at Lowe's More Jr. As always, thank you for pushing your mindset towards a better reality. This concludes the most thought-provoking portion of your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast to stay fully up to date with everything we're up to. Until next time, be kind to yourself and each other.
What they teaching is a joke. I ain't buying it like I'm broke. Insufficient funds for insignificant.